Hello and welcome to the Mid-Atlantic Weather Outlook. This is Friday, October 6, 2017. Some interesting weather. Finally a break to the drought it looks like ahead. Drought, when I mean drought here, I don't mean like overly drought, but it's been almost 19 days, I think, since we've seen really appreciable rain. And just to emphasize how dry it's been, you can see these pockets that show excessive dry, abnormally dry. That is definitely our region. This is off the Mid-Atlantic weather site under the forecast area. So you can see the areas are really dry. Like I said, appreciable rain in a lot of these areas has been at least 15 days or more. Not everywhere, but just wanted to highlight. So what's going to break that dryness? Well, we've got a tropical storm down here in the Gulf of Mexico, and due to the trajectory of it coming up and interacting with the front, it should bring quite a bit of rain, especially for North Carolina, Southwest Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina, and the mountainous, or the higher elevations due to upslope is what we call it. The rain being wrung out as it comes up the hill, the hills of the Piedmont into the mountains. And here's the latest coordinates and information as of 8 a.m. actually. It's only about 15 minutes ago when I'm making this recording. You see the storm's going to come up here, and then it's going to potentially become a hurricane before it hits the coast. You can already see that our hurricane watches are up for the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and hurricane tropical storm watches out for other areas. And then you have your tropical storm warnings and even a hurricane watch here along the peninsula here. So what you're seeing basically is a storm. It's going to take a little bit to get together, but once it gets into the Gulf, this is really warm. It should have a good chance of intensifying. There's a bit of shear it's trying to overcome, but as soon as that shear, and all that is just winds in the upper levels, as soon as the upper level winds die off, it should rapidly intensify. And just bring you up to date, kind of the current weather map and what's expected for today. You see there is this low down here in the Gulf. That's been partially the interaction, but for us, we're under a high pressure, and we're now south of this warm front. It's actually going to become pretty steamy today, tomorrow, into the next day, and even though the long term, I thought there'd be a cool down, it can take a bit for that cool down to get it all into the region. So this front's going to kind of stall and cause a lot of rain, which again, like I said, is kind of good for the area. It just tends to be that we get too much sometimes at the same time. So what we see here as going forward, you see the tropical storm Nate coming into the Gulf and then heading towards Louisiana, and then this is for tomorrow. Maybe a chance at some thunderstorms. It's hard to say as we get into this area. And then we get into the storm actually coming on shore with the front coming in. This is where you get the wring out of all that moisture. And, we're talking 3, 4, 5, even 6 inches of rains in parts of these regions. And thus there's a flash flood watch, not full watch, but a potential for parts of these areas just from the excessive amounts of rain. So just highlighting that as we go forward in time, you're seeing that chance for some flash flooding or significant rain. This is just the chance of it exceeding flood guidance. Again, a lot of this area has been dry enough that it can absorb quite a bit, so it should be pretty good. And without going into just crazy over and over and over again, here's where the tropical depression kind of comes up here along the spine. Now, this is a good trajectory for a lot of rain on the east side. Its speed is going to help reduce some of the flooding risks. You go forward, that low is going to move northeast. You get this front trailing. Like I said, this front's kind of having a hard time moving east. But here we go. Now, as the storm is, our things are moving forward. This is day 5. So Wednesday of next week, we can see a cooler high pressure system kind of pressing down. So that's good. We have this low to the west. But as long as these fronts are hung up in here, we're going to see the chance of rain and cloudiness until we can really get things to kind of push through. And here we go into day 6. And finally things have kind of moved. And then day 7. So this looks nice and cooler by the next weekend. But despite that cooler air, we're still looking like a strong chance in the 6 to 10 day period of a continued above normal temperatures and normal, slightly above normal to the east, and below normal to the west precipitation once we get past Nate and the tropical moisture. And even in the long term, it's really looking above normal temperature-wise and below normal precipitation-wise. So though we get this quick tropical disturbance, which could help alleviate some of this dryness, we do return to what what we've been seeing. And I think the rest of the fall is going to be similar to this, kind of warmer than normal, with very brief few days of normal or slightly below normal temperatures, prolonging our summer, I guess. So the next couple of days should be pretty warm, 80s, pretty much widespread with a lot of humidity. It's going to make it feel pretty darn warm, probably feeling up close to 90 in some of the southern areas, even up into the DC area. Could feel like 90 on Saturday. Then with the moisture coming in and the cloudiness, we should see temperatures drop off in the 70s and 80s, but very humid, even all the way up until about Wednesday when that front finally pushes through. And we should see the north kind of clear out some and temperatures get to more seasonable levels for a few days before we get a warming to return. I think the only thing I failed to share is how much rain we could expect out of the system. You can see these pockets of much heavier precip. This is actually through the next 7 days now. And you can see far southeastern Virginia and the eastern areas are not going to get much rain, but as you get further west with the upslope of the mountains, 1, 2, then up to 3 inches, and then of course in North Carolina quite a bit more. We're talking up in the 3 to 7, 8 inches maybe even. So things that we have to watch by flooding down here and here possible. But as I said, it's been pretty good at dry, so chance of a lot of streams to get back up to normal. I know in Gordonsville, Virginia, they have water restrictions in place now just because they don't have enough water on the rivers, but that looks like it's going to be remedied by Monday, Tuesday timeframe. So, all right, that's probably a lot longer than what I would want to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to try to cut it down to maybe 2 to 3 minutes, but just wanted to share that really quickly with everyone. Let me know if you liked it. Do a thumbs up, down, bottom. Thanks.